Hey guys, welcome back to 80 Days. So, we are in the US of States. Somewhere in the middle. Not sure, I can't remember exactly where we were anyway. It seems a little strange to be calling this 80 days now that we are on day 83 of 80. Anyway, it doesn't really matter how long this takes now, because we've already lost the wager. We also have £0 to our name, so I'm going to explore in the hope that we can do something about this. We can get new routes and all that, but we're going to need to do some serious bartering in order to get anywhere. Burlington was situated on the west bank of the Mississippi River, and had grown to prominence along with the steamboats that paddled up and down the long stretch of the river. The construction of the Burlington railway route had caused a temporary influx of Chinese and Irish labourers into the town, where many of them drank and generally had a good time. Good times were a scarce commodity in Burlington, or so it seemed to me. The town distinguishes itself in my memory as the place where I managed to buy and then immediately burn a shirt for Monsieur Fogg. He was not terribly understanding. I apologised most profusely, and Monsieur Fogg informed me that he preferred proper action to tedious apologies.
"This is unlike you, Passepartout. I do not like it."
Alright. So I guess we might need to go to the bank and try and withdraw from his fortune or something. We'll do that tomorrow morning. The hotel was too expensive. We had no option but to curl up in a shady spot under a tree like wild dogs and try our luck outside. To say we slept poorly is an understatement I will not make. I thought I was going to die. Right, well, we're just going to have to hang around until the bank opens. Fogg is still in reasonably good health, although without any money to sleep in hotels and to be groomed, that situation may deteriorate quite quickly. Apologies, by the way, if the commentary is a bit crap today. I have just done 13.5 hours straight of heavy lifting, and the adrenaline is and then I walked home in a thunderstorm, so I'm soaked to the skin, and I have a nice glass of wine here, but the adrenaline is starting to wear off, and I'm hoping I can get this episode done before my body and brain completely crash, and I have to go to sleep for a long, long time. I hope the bank is going to open soon, and let's just have a look where we can go. We can go to New Orleans from here and get a boat onwards. So that's basically the only way we can go, but it looks like a sensible route. I'm guessing that the bank is going to open 10? No? 11, there we go. Monsieur Fogg looked steadfast. My funds at home... Oh, sorry.
My funds at home are not unlimited. I would prefer not to draw on them, but...
And with that complaint issued, he snapped shut his ledger. I regarded the bank as we entered. It was a palace of stone and shimmering marble floors with beautiful windows, fountains and plants. You would like to take out funds, we were told? It may take a few days. Right, well, let's just get a grand. I guess if you're actually racing to get around the world in 80 days, which we have of course failed to do, you just have to gamble with how long it's going to take in order to withdraw the money. £1,000 is better than no pounds, so let's just sleep another night. Once again we could not afford the hotel. We had no choice but to lie down under a bridge like the poorest peasants and try to sleep. Halfway through the night we were accosted by a miserable and hungry individual. I bid them to join us, and they lay down gratefully in our heap, sharing a little much-needed warmth. How grim. Okay, let's just zoom time forward so we can get our monies. We returned to the bank at opening time to collect our funds, and then we were ready to proceed once more. Finally. Now, can we sell anything here? And there's some stuff for sale, but it looks a bit shit. Of interest to luxurious and prim types. It's pretty dear. Sell 48, 10, 28. Let's sell the Penny Dreadful. We're already way past Calcutta. Don't think we're going to need that. Or that. Or that. We've got to be really frugal now, because this is like a pretty desperate situation. Anyway, let's see. Gentleman Traveller set, we'll keep that. See if we can switch some of this stuff over. Yeah. Down to 2 cases as well, which is good. Okay. Let's see how quickly we can get to New Orleans. In 2 days, negotiate.
The Gentleman Traveller set should yield results. Most generous.
Okay, we can go tomorrow for no extra charge. Superb. So let's just bed down now that we have some money. Hopefully Fogg should be happy with the hotel. It was with a heavy heart that I watched the sun go down. 80 days had come and gone, and here we were, still marking time and not yet home. As night fell, I went out to explore a little, and to my surprise came across a tired-looking English gentleman and his valet, begging on the side of the road. I inquired into their misfortune and learned they had been travelling around the world and fallen victim to heavy thefts. My heart went out to them, and of course I gave them £200 to get them back on their feet. Then I tipped my hat and moved away. Shit. I think my Needers is just about as great.
I am on fine form, but we must make haste.
Let's go to New Orleans aboard the Dark Queen. And it looks like a comfortable journey. Let's go. We boarded the Dark Queen, a twin-decked, 6-boiler stern-wheeler, bound for New Orleans. The Mississippi was famed for the luxury of her steamboats, but also for their unfortunate tendency towards catastrophic boiler explosions. I felt lucky though, and quite certain that nothing ill would befall us on our journey to Crescent City. We were certainly due a good turn, were we not? Indeed. Okay, just going to have a sip of my delicious wine. I have earned this wine, you guys, honestly. What a long day. This is a South African Cabernet Franc that I'm drinking tonight, and it is absolutely superb. The common rooms and lounges of the Dark Queen were full of gamblers enticing passengers into games of dice or cards. The river ports had been passing more and more regulation, and the cheats and crooks had all fled to the unregulated waters of the Mississippi to ply their trade. I set about earning what I could with unscrupulous card playing, using everything I had learnt from the cool calculation of Monsieur Fogg. I did well enough, earning a few £100s, but by the end of the evening no one wanted to play against me again. There is no fresh meat aboard such a boat. Excellent. Excellent. Captain Latour was clearly quite cosy with the gamblers and had something of their attitude himself. "I'll wager I can get us to New Orleans in 3 days rather than 4, he shouted to the room at large. Who'll take the wager? We could use an extra day, and the captain seemed quite sure of himself. £100 on it, I called. The captain whooped before loping off to the engine room. Watch and learn, my friends. You'll see a record made today. I hope we will. Captain Latour ordered the Calliope to play a tune, as he mustered the crew and gave them the order to push the engines to their maximum limit. The coal shovelers scowled at the extra work involved, but the captain ignored them magnanimously. The Dark Queen's crew seemed competent enough, but as the boilers whistled and screamed, the ship began to make ominous, keening noises. I offered to help shovel coal and stripped off to my shirt sleeves. "Keep shoveling," Captain Latour shouted, tapping dials and muttering orders. He squeezed more oil onto the engine crank. "We'll be in New Orleans by sundown." Which was when something began to make a screaming noise. I turned about looking astern, seeing smoke issuing from a crack in the metal, and then it was too late. The rear boiler exploded. The entire ship seemed to shudder and convulse as the sailors screamed and wept and burned. It was hell, in the literal rather than metaphysical sense, and I was right in it. We did not reach New Orleans that day, and I wondered if we ever would. Damn it. Well, they did warn us about the tendency for these ships to blow up, but, you know, desperate times require desperate measures, I guess. None of the sailors died yesterday, though some no doubt wished they had. A much chastened Captain Latour moored the ship and organised boats to take them to doctors ashore. Monsieur Fogg and I were unharmed, at least physically, but there is no music or laughter on the Dark Queen's deck. And even the hardest gamblers played in respectful silence. The Dark Queen continued her journey down the Mississippi, though at a crawling pace. Captain Latour ordered only 2 of the 5 remaining boilers fired and had to offer double pay to the stokers to induce them. "What a waste this is," I said disgustedly to Monsieur Fogg. My master regarded me thoughtfully.
Captain Latour took a gamble, and this time he lost. That is all.
"But you are a gambling man," I said, thinking of the screams of the sailors. "I realised as much the very first day you took me into your service. What is the difference?"
"There is none,"
Monsieur Fogg said calmly, after a moment's consideration.
"I merely have a better calculation of the odds."
"Well, we didn't win your wager, did we, Fogg? So, questionable." We docked at New Orleans when the sun was low in the sky, glinting over the brackish water of the river and bathing the French and Spanish colonial villas of the city in soft yellow light. The captain made a beeline for us like a weary ghost, but I made sure to avoid him, hustling Monsieur Fogg onto the wharf before our ghastly wager might be settled. I wanted neither of his self-pity nor his advice. Well, hang on, does that mean I don't get my payout? Damn it.
There seem to be no departures today. We should explore a little.
As you say, sir. Should get some routes here. We can go to Atlanta and through to Washington DC and New York, which looks like a good bet. I struck up a few conversations here and there, hunting for options to how we might proceed. Superb. Okay, so right, from here we can go down to Port-au-Prince in the Caribbean. What's that? Is that Jamaica or Hispaniola or something? No, that's Jamaica. Port Royal, Port-au-Prince, and then on to Caracas in the southern Caribbean Sea. And that guy's just got to Panama. You know what? As we're not in any hurry here, let's go to the Caribbean. Let's go to Port-au-Prince. Tomorrow at 1 PM, and it's an airship, the Eastern Main. Let's do that. Why the hell not? Let's see. Darjeeling tea. Is there anything... Oh. Well, if we go to New York, we can sell that. Alright, well, I guess that's decided then. Okay, well, when can we get to New York for? We can go... tomorrow at 2 on the Piedmont Airline. That's cool. Let's do that. I met Death... Wait, what? I met Death in a smoke-wreathed, red-lit bar in New Orleans as the jazz band struck up another tune. He offered to buy me a bourbon. Holy Mother of Heaven, I blasphemed succinctly, as some of the other patrons snickered. Death pulled off his mask to reveal handsome cafe au lait features and dark green eyes, and then extended a skeletal hand to me. "A fine costume," I remarked. "Merci, mon cher. I am Death at our neighbourhood Mardi Gras, and I am practicing my role." He took my proffered hand and brought the back of it to his lips for a gallant kiss. He flicked me a rather unmistakable look under his dark lashes. I returned his look with one of my own, and he let my fingers slip slowly through his. "You must call me Octave, mon cher." "I am Passepartout." I dipped my head slightly, an appellation as well as a burden. "Then I will choose another for you," he decided, with a slanted grin. "A special name for you and me tonight, Laurent, for you look a bit like Laurent." "Laurent and Octave," I agreed with a slow smile. They sound an intriguing pair. "Bien sûr." Octave told me he was a free person of colour now. I was aghast to realise he had been a slave before the Civil War, and indeed still worked as a servant for the very same family. "Such a story is too horrible to hear," I told him. "I cannot bear it, please." "Then your life has been an easy one, eh?" His eyes flashed with anger. "I joined the 1st Louisiana Native Guards Regiment after New Orleans was captured by the Union. I still wake up some mornings not sure if I am alive or dead." "You are alive," I reassured him, reaching out for his shoulder. Octave wiped the anger from his expression with the ease of long practice and smiled a low, dazzling smile. "You look sad, mon cher. What a fool I am to confess these things to you, when I would much rather see you smile." I smiled at him to dispel the last of the heaviness in the air. "A smile!" he exclaimed, triumphant. "It is a rapturous smile, full of secrets I wish to unravel. Shall I tell you one?" "I would be honoured." "I have been around the world." I thought he might comment upon my secret, but he took a moment and then nodded as if tucking it away in his mind. "I thank you for your truth. I will remember it." Death, it appeared, was a creature of both delicacy and tact. Alas, the hour had grown late, and we had to part. Octave walked me upriver to the border of the garden district where Monsieur Fogg had taken lodgings, amongst the American parvenus. The moon shone down on the Mississippi, and Octave leaned towards me. And we kissed. Right there on the riverbank. He tasted of bourbon and dark nights, and I will say no more of it here. A man, even one such as I, must have his secrets. Octave will be one of them. I think of him often when I think of New Orleans. Kinky. Alright. Fuck, did I just skip an extra day by accident? Shit. I think I might have done. Another night passed, another mark on our calendar, another nail in the coffin of Monsieur Fogg's wager. I afforded my master every service, providing him with clipped moustaches. Shit, I think I might have missed that train to New York. Damn it! Negotiate. Okay, cool. Thank God. Just wasted an entire day grooming Monsieur Fogg's moustache. 2 PM, Piedmont Airline to New York. Here we go. The Piedmont Airline from New Orleans was not in fact an airline at all, but according to its advertising, the fastest railway in America. What could be better for getting us to the edge of the Atlantic? We had failed our 80-day challenge, but it had turned into the feeling, I think, that we wanted to get home.
"We'll need to wire London for funds as soon as we find a bank. I'm sure they will be prompt."
I'm just going to have a sip of my wine. We settled ourselves in a carriage with one other occupant, an extremely large man who introduced himself as Charlie Sullivan, a lad from Birmingham, who had grown into something the size of a warehouse building with huge tracts of muscle, especially around the neck and upper arms. His moustaches were nonetheless perfect. I asked him what had taken him to New Orleans, and he grunted,
"Boxing."
"Is that a reasonable Birmingham accent?"
"Alright, I'm from Birmingham."
It's the best I can do. "You fought in a competition," I interpreted. "There was an exhibition."
"There was an exhibition," he said. "I won. 3rd round knockout."
I gulped. However, Monsieur Fogg's interest had been increasing sharply throughout the conversation. Come on, brain.
"You are trained?"
he demanded keenly.
"Or self-taught?"
"I've got a manager," Sullivan replied. "He tells me what to hit."
"Excellent, excellent," Monsieur Fogg enthused. "I want to hear all about it."
I sat back and enjoyed the conversation. The details of boxing are more intricate than one might expect. And hearing the business of cut and thrust delivered in Sullivan's so very English tones was quite informative. Little did I know how the details I heard would come to be of use to me. I see, so I guess we're going to do some punching soon.
Pugilism.
Alright, we are racing up the east coast here. Nearly in Washington DC already, which is superb. Just going into day 95. Hitting Washington DC.
"That Mr. Sullivan will, I think, go very far indeed,"
Monsieur Fogg opined as I brought him kippers from the dining car. "He seemed to have the physique," I suggested.
"Not just the physique," my master replied. "Physique is not the secret. His description of the transferal of weight from foot to foot was very well understood indeed."
"So you are a boxer, monsieur?" I saw the shutters of his conversation beginning to come down.
"I went to school, yes."
"Boxing school?" He blinked at me.
"I think France a very curious country at times."
He attacked his kippers with some gusto. "You should fight him," I said.
"Oh no, you should fight him,"
he said. I almost choked. He looked at me with surprise.
"Is something the matter?"
"Forgive me. It sounded as though you said I should fight Monsieur Sullivan. It seems you wish me dead, monsieur." My master shook his head with the minutest fraction.
"Not at all. Merely exercised."
He forked another forkful.
"You needn't be alarmed. I can teach you to box."
I rolled back my sleeves. "I'm sure you can, monsieur," I replied, "and I am a quick learner, or at least I thought somewhat confident in nature."
"Excellent."
Monsieur Fogg put down his paper.
"I have arranged for a space in the guard's van. Come."
When had he done this? I do not know. I merely followed, and there was Sullivan, stripped to the waist, doing his warm-up exercises.
"Piss poor too."
"Piss poor too." Brilliant.
"Piss poor too,"
he greeted me, through a thick leather mouthguard.
"Sullivan," I declared meatily, as I removed my own shirt and tried to listen as my master provided some pointers, and then the fight began.
Sullivan was a tough opponent, and if he chose to swing hard he would brain me unless I defended myself, but he would not be able to slug on every swing. I would have to pick my moments to attack. To begin with, I kept my guard up, matching Fogg's demonstration from the across the car, just as Sullivan punched hard. The blow landed against my defence. I shook it off as best I could. A small crowd had gathered to watch the fight, and they murmured with excitement.
"Strength and stamina are different," Monsieur Fogg called to me from the side. "Your strength will come back if you swing lightly, but your stamina, once gone, will leave you out cold."
I nodded to show I had heard. Sullivan's eyes narrowed. I jabbed, a quick, decisive move, while Sullivan made a quick jab. I overpowered him, landing a sting. We were both still lively, although he was faring a little better than me. "Watch it! The next swing may be harder," my master called. "Next." I brought my defences up, once more protecting my face. Sullivan lifted his defences. We circled each other nervously. Neither of us was badly worn, though he was looking better than me. "He will have regained some muster from that block," my master shouted, "so be warned." Sullivan's weight moved back.
He's making to swing, my master shouted.
Then I threw a heavy punch, putting all my weight behind the blow. Just as Sullivan punched harder, I burst through his attack, knocking him back across the carriage.
An excellent hit, Monsieur Fogg declared.
A little blood leaked from his lip. I could hardly believe it. I was winning. Sullivan was almost ready to drop. I heard rather than saw the money changing hands. Spectators were betting on me. Sullivan's eyes narrowed. Now it was my turn. I threw a light punch, a quick decisive move, while Sullivan delivered a stinging punch. I got my blow in, landing a sting. Sullivan span about and fell backwards onto the floor of the van. Defeated! Generous hands scooped me up into the air.
Excellent show, Monsieur Fogg beamed,
displaying a violent burst of character.
Most impressive!
Sullivan was rubbing the side of his head and cursing in a version of English I did not recognise. I shook his hand as he was carried to a compartment to lie down.
I believe this makes you lightweight champion of North America, Monsieur Fogg remarked to me. More to the point, we won a little from a wager or two.
£2,000, in fact. Your funds have gone up by more than £1,000. Yes, they have. Superb. We are rich again. That went beautifully well, and I enjoyed it immensely. I awoke, still smarting from my boxing match with Sullivan, and my master most generously decided he would fetch breakfast. I vow I will be able to move once more tomorrow.
Indeed, he replied, and we cannot have you dropping the tray.
He returned with black coffee and well-buttered toast. A most considerate choice to bring to a Frenchman, or at least so I thought, until he began to eat the toast himself and drank the coffee in a slurp. We arrived into New York later that day. I struggled to lift the cases with my tired arms, and we staggered off the train.
New York City.
The trombone could earn us well here. Yes, well remembered. We can sell that for £2,400. We are absolutely raking it in. Penny black, we don't need. I can buy a Smith & Wesson revolver and then sell it. Oh, I see. Not for as much. Well, never mind. We've got tons of money here. Get the apples. We've already sold some apples. We don't need them. That'll do. Should we explore New York?
Good to see we're well armed with that revolver.
We've got tons of money now. Let's plan. If we explore, we can probably get new routes. We don't have any routes, so we need to do that first and foremost. Winnipeg to Ottawa to New York and through to Reykjavik in Iceland and back to London. We can go back to London. Alright, we might as well clear this off then. I was pickpocketed in New York. I seized the thief's hand still in my pocket. "You tangled with the wrong Frenchman," I exclaimed in triumph. The little thief looked up at me with thick lashed eyes. I realised belatedly that the thief was a young girl, barely 10. I tightened my grip firmly, and she took the opportunity to curse in a thick Irish accent and bite me. I held on despite the inconvenience. Finally she grinned at me, teeth stained with my precious life's blood. "Are you done, little vampire?"
"For now," the girl muttered. "What's it to you?"
I looked down at my bloody arm. Truly it was a salutary lesson not to let my guard down in strange climes. "Don't steal again," I commanded sternly. As she returned my possessions, she agreed she would not ever again, cross her heart, though her expression was shifty. I relaxed my grip and she slithered away and lost herself in the crowd. I made my way back to our hotel before anything more untoward could befall my delicate person. Okay.
"Our finances are looking a little better now, but you may need to curb your fashionable tastes."
Fine. How is he doing? He's doing absolutely great. Okay. We could go to Iceland, or we could go straight back to London. Snowdon? We can go to Snowdon? I love Snowdon. Snowdon is the highest mountain in Wales and the second highest mountain in the United Kingdom, if you guys don't know that. It's awesome. I spend a lot of my time in North Wales. I live not far from there, just over the border in northern England, so I'm around Snowdon a lot. It's very dear to me. Anyway, the Henrietta departs for London in 3 days. Can we negotiate?
We can't afford the ticket, let alone anything more.
Oh shit, 5,300 quid, right. That's a problem. How much is it going to cost to get to Reykjavik? £330 on a rocket? And alright, let's do that then. Departs tomorrow. Well, actually, we could wait a few days in New York to get some money out of the bank to cover the airship to London. Why not? I mean, we've already sort of fucked up this whole thing, so we might as well just end it. Okay. I went to stretch my legs and found a cheerful Irish clerk who had mislaid a locket, which I spotted, and from whom I discovered that the most efficient way to Atlanta is through Washington. I assured him we were unlikely to head that way, at which my friend laughed.
I can't say I blame you.
No offence there. Alright. We could... yeah, let's go to the Bankington. Why is the bank not open? Tomorrow at 2 for Reykjavik. Alright, we're just going to have to do that, I guess. Spend another night here. With what remained of the day, I spent a few hours walking around, and where I saw a nervous San Franciscan ragamuffin in a busy argument with a housewife, from which I learned it can be best not to get in the way, I came away with a torn shirt. Brilliant. Okay. Let's depart by rocket to Reykjavik for £330. Seems good. The luggage rack has space for no suitcases, but we have 2. Ha. That means we have to get rid of everything, does it? Okay. Let's do that. We're nearly home. Let's just try it. Embark. Rough skies. This will be a wearisome route. It's going to drain his health. The Icewind was a pendulously large Savarkar Atmotic that wanted to fly 4 or 5 miles high and had to be hauled down to the docks by a team of 30 or 40 steam winches. It seemed large for a ship travelling to Iceland, but I was informed by a dockhand that most of the space was for cargo, not people. Indeed, space was at such a premium, passengers were allowed no luggage. I had espied the word quarantine on the visa document we had signed, and I felt there was some important facts we were not being told, but still, we had bought our tickets, signed our visa forms and discarded our luggage. It was soon time to depart. Alright, well, it's going pretty quickly. This little steampunk rocket capsule. Looks kind of like the little capsule that takes you up to Columbia at the start of BioShock Infinite. Similar sort of aesthetic there. Alright, we're going through Canada. Conditions about the Icewind were comfortable enough for the 30 or so passengers making the trip. We quickly knew everyone by their Christian name, and Monsieur Fogg had found himself a capable whist partner to pass the hours. Though with our wager done, I could see he was not quite as focused on his game as he might normally have been. Evening crept in on us slowly as we headed north. Zooming along here. We have passed the latitude of London, Monsieur Fogg declared, and I wondered if I could detect sadness in his tone. It was most likely due to a sense of inefficiency rather than a desire for home. I suggested trying to bribe the crew to fly due east, and Monsieur Fogg nodded. A worthwhile thing to attempt. I went to befriend the crew, but found they were rather suspicious of me. You don't look like a working type, one woman remarked. You look well-to-do. I have been through more filth and hardship than you might imagine, I replied, and my tone was heavy, the truth of my statement. She laughed. Well then, what do you need? I explained and she laughed. This ship is full of cargo and that cargo has to be delivered. It's worth all our salaries twice over. Perhaps we can pay something towards that, I began, but she shook her head. You've got pluck, but I don't think you realise how valuable what we're carrying is. I returned to Monsieur Fogg, mission unaccomplished, and he shrugged. No matter, he said. Nothing more, and the reason for his silence was clear enough.
I'm in roaring health, but we must make haste.
It's draining his health. The third day was short, and we arrived into the skies above Reykjavik as the sun was gathering across the water. From the rail, I could see more smaller airships bobbing above the docks. At least one of them would be bound for London and for home. As we landed, I looked back, hoping to catch sight of our mysterious cargo being unloaded. As I watched, the whole nose of the craft was detached and something was dragged out by a team of steam carts with winches. Whatever the item was, it was the size of the airship itself and covered with a thick tarpaulin, lashed securely with belts and chains. It was hustled onto a wide-gauge train which puffed away to deliver it elsewhere. Indeed a puzzle. Reykjavik.
We will have to explore Reykjavik to find an onward journey.
Okay, where can we go from here? We can go through Scotland to London. Reykjavik was a quiet town with few inhabitants, but still had the feeling of a bustling centre of commerce. The flag of the Kingdom of Denmark fluttered above the trade hall, declaring this place an outpost, but of all the outposts, colonies and adjuncts of the great nations we had seen, it seemed the most comfortable in its skin. This comfort most likely derived from the natural hot springs which we tried out in an open area behind a fine fish restaurant. Monsieur Fogg sat at one end and myself at the other, and we breathed in gulps of steam with a deep, satisfying sigh. They should fit these in Hyde Park, I exclaimed. Monsieur Fogg shook his head.
I think they are heated from underground thermals, he replied. In London they would require coal, but in London there are better uses.
I do believe it was the first time I heard him say, even in a roundabout fashion, that any place had its own elements of value. Reykjavik is a lovely, lovely place. So he's right. Anyway, let's get back to London, right? 2 days at 8 AM, can we negotiate? It's £1,000. We can pay an extra 1,000 to get back tomorrow, let's do that. Tomorrow at 8 AM. Let's sleep and get the hell back home. As night fell, I went out to explore a little and succeeded only in having my pocket picked to the tune of £18. Fantastic. Aboard the airship Silver Seal. This looks like a wearisome route. Well, it's fine, he's got the health for it. Wow, look at that. That's awesome. The Silver Seal was a smaller ship than the Icewind had been, and a Gaelic to boot. We loaded up and strapped ourselves in for the launch. Here we go. I was hoping we might even be able to do this in like under 100 days, but obviously not. It won't be much over 100, but you know. The ocean tore along beneath us. I enjoyed talking to no one. There was nothing I needed to know, no one to charm, flatter, or beguile into giving us aid. There was only the wind and the time, and we could control neither. We're finally back on British soil. Monsieur Fogg looked out of the observation deck windows with perfect calm, though the wager was lost and he was no doubt ruined. I did not quite know what to feel myself. I spent the remaining time embarking on the writing of this account, though I found already the details of our early adventures had grown vague and indistinct.
Good gracious, this is rather more exhausting than I anticipated.
We tethered at the airship dock in Hyde Park and felt for the first time in 102 days the feel of English soil under our shoes. At long last, we had returned to London. We did it. Return. I hailed one of the steam carriages idling on the banks of the Serpentine in Hyde Park. To the Reform Club, I instructed. My master shook his head. "To Savile Row," he corrected calmly, and turned his face to the window. Savile Row is a street in London famous for making extremely high-quality tailored suits, by the way. "I have most assuredly lost my wager." Soot and fog thickened the yellow light of the gas lamps as we drove through the streets of London. I think I only truly grasped the truth of the matter then, hearing the words in my master's uninflected tones. We had lost the wager, and by a wide and unmistakable margin. Yet I found myself thinking on the wonders and marvels we had seen on our journey. I could not bring myself to regret even a day of it. My master entered his domicile with his habitual tranquillity, though he instructed me to leave the windows shut up so that his neighbours would not mark his return. I prepared his supper, and he ate heartily, as if he were not utterly ruined. "Passepartout," he began. "Yes, Monsieur Fogg?" In the silence that followed, I counted up the hair's breadth escapes, all the obstacles which we had overcome, and those which had delayed us. "You have performed your duties with competence and skill, Passepartout," he said, as though remarking upon the weather. "But more importantly, you have circumnavigated the globe as my companion. Despite the unfortunate protraction of our journey," he added, "it was no small feat." "And what will you do now, monsieur?" I asked, trying to emulate my master's coolness and aplomb. "My course, Passepartout," Monsieur Fogg interjected smoothly, "is fully decided upon. We must attempt the journey around the world once more." "Once more?" I cried. "Indeed," Monsieur Fogg said implacably, an intent light glinting in his cold blue eyes. "But this time, forewarned and better prepared, we will succeed." "Yes, monsieur," I nodded smartly. Monsieur Fogg consulted his ledger and tapped his pen. "Perhaps, this time," he said thoughtfully, "a more direct route. Your journey around the world is complete." Adventurer Phileas Fogg loses wager. Fogg blames nights of rough sleeping, drug-addled valet in Hong Kong, an exploding Mississippi paddle steamer for 102-day journey. Your journey around the world in 102 days. Awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed that. This kind of visual novel thing is really like good fun to do like a let's play thing of, and I just thought this game is really, really well designed. Its procedural situations are really awesome, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. However, I don't think I'll be doing another run on this channel, certainly not anytime soon. I do have another game in this style lined up which is going to replace these videos. So I will see you very, very soon for that. And it's one that I am personally looking forward to a great deal, because it's one which means a lot to me. It's a series which means a lot to me, and I will explain that in that video. Anyway, that's basically going to do it for 80 days. We did it in, what would it have been, 4 or 5 hours? I don't know. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you did enjoy these videos, please subscribe to my channel and you can see more similar content. Take care, everyone, and goodbye.